Hello, lovelies, or should I say bonjour? Today we are going to be talking about the brand new release from Nomad Cosmetics, and it is the Paris La Bohème palette. It is such a beautiful palette based on the passion and the art and the poetry and all of the philosophy and everything from Paris, and it is so beautiful. It has such a mix of light, beautiful, kind of feminine colors to represent the passion of Paris, and some dark and some deep grungy colors to represent the creativity and the nightlife of Paris. So this is such a beautiful palette. I can't wait to show you how I created this beautiful look today. So come along with me and let's make up the rules. One of the things that I love the most about Nomad Cosmetics is that they are a travel theme based company, and all of their makeup products are based on different locations. And my family actually had a chance to live overseas for 13 years while I was growing up, and so I've had the opportunity and the blessing to be able to visit and to live in a lot of different really cool places. And Paris is one of the places that my family visited back in, I think, 2011 or 2012. It was such a beautiful city. That's actually where I picked up this necklace and also the shirt that I'm wearing, so it's fun to get to wear all these different things from this country and to be able to just see that captured so beautifully in this palette. This is such a beautiful palette. I love that it is just based on the artists and the philosophers of just kind of old time Paris. It is such a beautiful package. This is what the back looks like. It gives us a little hint at our color story. And then also this one comes with a little postcard that I think is so cute. And then they just provide a little bit of information about the palette and about just the thought behind it. It says the destination. In the late 1800s, Paris Latin Quarter bloomed into a haven for artists, students, and dreamers. Winding streets and dim cafes pulsed with creativity, debate, and artistic passion. By day, ideas were argued. By night, poets and painters chased beauty in candlelit garrets. More than a place, it was a way of life, La Bohème. Today, echoes remain in the worn pages of Shakespeare and Company, on the steps of the Sorbonne, and within every heart drawn to love, art, and the Bohemian dream. And I love that another thing about the Nomad Cosmetics palettes is they typically have a cause or a charity that is in the location where the palette is based on. And so for this one, it says, we are proud to support Fondation de France, a leading philanthropy network in France with the desire to act for a better world. So I just think that's really cool that they include that and that you can really understand what this palette is kind of going towards and what your purchase is going towards. So that's really cool. So I'm really excited to dive into this beautiful color story. So this is the outer package. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this out of the box. And then the actual palette itself looks very similar to the box. I really love that it's got a lot of kind of reflection on it. I hope you can see that on the camera. And I really love this little glass of wine in the middle. When you kind of turn it in the light, it almost looks like it's liquid and it's kind of moving in the glass. It's really cool. Another thing that I really personally love about the cover of this palette is this little couple right here. And if you are a fan of Gilmore Girls, this probably looks familiar to you too, like it does to me. When the town of Stars Hollow is having their Festival of Living Art or their Festival of Living Picture, this is the painting that Lorelai is in. So I just think that's really cool just to kind of see that captured on this palette. So that's just a fun little Easter egg for any of you Gilmore Girls fans. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the palette inside. It's got just a little kind of waxed paper inside to cover the shades. And this is our color story. It is absolutely gorgeous. As you can probably tell, one of the shades over here was a little bit broken when I received it in the mail. I don't think that's any fault of Nomad. They definitely wrapped it really well. I think just in the transit, unfortunately, one of them broke. I don't necessarily mind that. When I did hold it up for a swatch a minute ago, it fell out, and so I had to pack it back in there. But other than that one just kind of being a little broken in the pan, and I just kind of patted it back in, all the rest of them are perfect, so I really don't mind that too much. But this color story is absolutely stunning. It is so beautiful. I love all of the pinks on this side and then kind of the darker, grungier shades on the other side. It is absolutely stunning. So I'm really excited to go ahead and jump into some swatches and then get into our tutorial for today. I really enjoyed taking the swatches of this palette. The colors in this palette are just so beautiful and they go together so nicely. I really enjoy just getting to try out the different shimmers and the different mattes and just getting to see how they perform together. And as I did my swatches, I did 2 next to each other. So there are 18 shades in this palette. I did 9 rows and then I did 2 on each row. And it was really fun to kind of pair up the different eyeshadows and decide which colors I kind of thought would go best together, and then do a range kind of from the pink into the grays and the purples and then down into the blues and green. So it definitely is just such a beautiful and cohesive color story. All of the shades are so lovely. Definitely, if you can't tell, I kind of was expecting to go into this look making a pink look, and I think that is what I'm going to do today. But as I was taking the swatches, I was very pleasantly surprised by the blues and the greens in this palette. They are absolutely stunning. This blue shimmer shade, this light blue shimmer Rodolfo, is so gorgeous. It looks kind of unsuspecting in the pan, but when I took up the swatch and put it on my arm, it was so bright and shimmery and absolutely lovely. It was such a beautiful shade. So this just swatched really nicely. All of the colors go together beautifully, and the shimmers in here are so sparkly. So I'm really excited to go ahead and dive into this look and go ahead and start our tutorial. I went ahead and primed my eyes with my Pigment Pop Eye Primer from Ulta Beauty. So we're going to go ahead and jump back into our beautiful palette. And like I said, I do want to do more of a pink, maybe slightly purple inspired look today with this palette. So I'm going to go in with a fluffy blending brush from Ulta Beauty, and I'm going to start light on the inner corner and move out towards the outer corner and get a little bit darker. So I'm going to start with this beautiful pink shade right here. This one is called Art, and I'm just going to dip my brush into this shade and just go ahead and apply it to the crease just a little bit on the inner corner. And this is such a light shade, so I think it'll be kind of a nice just inner corner kind of highlight type shade, and then also just help to transition into some of the deeper pink. It is really hard to take the swatches and to start dipping into the palette because the embossings are so pretty on each of these shades, and it was really hard to start kind of messing them up. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're really going to last after going ahead and kind of dipping into them. So that's kind of a shame because they are so pretty when you first see them and you open the palette. It's such a lovely shade. It's just kind of a nice, almost light baby pink. Very pretty and just a nice way to start out this look. So now I'm going to start deepening up a little bit. So I'm going to go into this pink shade right here. This one is called Philosopher. And I'm going to put this sort of on the center part of my crease. So again, just picking a little bit up on my brush, and I'm just tapping off the excess as I go. And then just applying this right here in the center and just kind of blending it into that Art shade as I'm moving towards the outer corner. Just using very light motions, just kind of going back and forth and making sure that I go down into my eye socket area here and just really making sure everything is blended together. These are so beautiful. They are blending really nicely. It is just a nice, beautiful light pink look, and that's definitely what I'm going for today. And I think that is really pretty. Just making sure as these two shades meet that I'm just kind of using back and forth motion and blending those together and just really building up this pigment. These are very bright pigments in this palette. The quality of the mattes is really nice and definitely blends together very easily. Next, we're going to go into the namesake of the palette. This is the darkest pink shade, La Bohème. And so I'm going to pick up a little bit of that and I'm going to put that into the outer corner of my eye. So I'm going to just fill in the rest of this space here, and I'm also going to bring it just a little bit down into my eyelid, just kind of rounding out on the edge here. These pinks are so beautiful together. They're blending together very nicely and creating a nice cohesive look. Absolutely stunning. And then I'm just going to take my brush without cleaning it off, just kind of with that excess product that I have on there, and I'm just going to run it all the way over my crease just to help really blend all of those shades together. Make sure I don't have any kind of harsh lines in between the 3 shades. And that is really, really pretty. I do think I want to deepen up the outer corner just a little bit. So I'm going to go into this nice gray shade up here on the top. And this one I believe is pronounced Puccini. And I'm gonna go ahead and just tap this just a little bit into this outer corner here and just deepen up the shades just a little bit and start combining that gray into the pinks. That is really pretty, and so I'm gonna go ahead and step off camera and add just a little bit of shimmer primer, and we're gonna really liven up this look with some glitter. So I went ahead and applied some NYX glitter primer on my lid, and so now we're gonna go ahead and jump into those shimmers. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here, and this one is called Mimi. And I'm gonna go in with a flat shadow brush from Ulta Beauty and just pick up a little bit of this product on my brush, and I'm going to apply this one right in the center of my eyelid. So just right here, just kind of pressing it in with my brush. And that is really pretty, and that's definitely adding more pigment and more lightness to this look, really adding just a lot more color and vibrancy. That is a very, very pretty shade. It is really bright and vibrant. Absolutely stunning. And I'm just gonna kind of pull this from the center of my lid over into this outer corner just a little bit on top of that gray shade, just so that way I don't have any harsh lines, and just kind of blend it in. Very pretty. So now I'm gonna go ahead and clean off my brush, and then I do want to deepen up that outer corner just a little bit, just because I've got kind of a little gap right here that I don't have any shimmer, and I don't really want to pull that pink all the way to the edge. So I'm going to use this shade over here, the one that came broken in my palette, and this one is called Poet. And I'm just going to use that same brush and just pick up a little bit of this product and just put this right here in this outer corner just to kind of deepen up and blend into that shimmer shade. I absolutely love that this palette is based on Paris. I love Paris. It is such a beautiful city and such a beautiful place. And I really love that this is so focused on the creativity of Paris. I just think that is really cool. I am a very creative at heart. I really love just doing any kind of creative thing, whether it's taking pictures or painting or drawing. I love writing poetry, and then even makeup is a creative art form to me. So I just really love any creative medium. And so this is such a cool palette, and it's really just fun to see just all of that creativity in the color story and just in the shade name, and just the packaging and everything. It is such a beautiful palette and such a beautiful concept. Okay, so I've kind of just got those two blended together. Now I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my brush again, and then I do want to put a little bit of a lighter shimmer towards the inner corner of my eyelid. So I'm going to go in with this shade called Musician. It is this shade right here on the end, and this one is really pretty. It kind of has a shift to it between sort of a light kind of yellowy gold and a light pink shade, so I think that's going to go really nicely with this look. So I'm going to use that same brush and just pick up a little product on my brush, and then I'm going to apply this right here on this gap towards the inner corner of my eyelid. And it definitely applies much more pink. In the pan, it does have more of that gold reflect. I thought it was more of a gold shade at first, but then when I swatched it, I was able to see more of the pink in there. So I think it's a really pretty, really kind of shifty shade, and I think that's gonna look really nice with this look and add just a little more dimension. That is really pretty. I definitely feel like the pink mattes were very light. None of them really have a whole lot of depth or a whole lot of deep pigment to them. So I definitely think that's allowing the shimmers to really be able to shine and to really be able to kind of be the focal point of the look. This is such a pretty shade, just kind of building it up and then just kind of blending it into the center. And then I'm just gonna take my brush and kind of run it right along this very top of my crease and just kind of, or the very top of my eyelid on the bottom of my crease, and just kind of blend all of those together so there's no harsh lines. I did pull that purple Poet shade up just a little more into my crease than I meant to, so just kind of muting that down a little bit and making this look nice and blended. Build up some of this pigment just a little bit more and just make sure it's all nice and blended together. That is really, really pretty. Those are some beautiful shades. I am losing that Mimi shade just a little bit, so I am going to pop that a little bit more back into the center and just kind of going back and forth between the different shades and really just making sure they're nice and blended. That is really pretty. Now I do want to add just a little bit more lightness to this look and really make sure that all of those shimmers are nice and cohesive. So I'm going to go into this light pink shade up here. This one is called Love. And I'm just going to pick this up on my finger and use this as a topper shade. It's such a nice light iridescent pink. So I'm just going to pop that on as a topper shade over all of these other ones just to really add some more lightness, and then also just to kind of blend all of them together a little bit better. So I'm just going to pop this all the way across my lid on top of those other shimmers and just kind of blend them together. That is such a pretty shade and definitely adds just a nice little extra glow to this look. That is absolutely stunning. I really love how the top is looking. So let's go ahead and start moving down into the lower lash line and really finish up this look. I think for the lower lash line, I do want to start deepening up this look and add a little more depth and a little more purple. And so I'm going to kind of go in between purple and gray and really just kind of build up this look. So with an Ulta Beauty Collection kind of flat liner brush, I'm going to go in with this shade, I believe it's Ephemer. And this one was really pretty when I swatched it. It's sort of a light gray and also has a little purple to it. So it's a really pretty shade. I'm just going to pick some of this up on the end of my brush, and I'm going to line this all the way underneath my eye, under the lower waterline, and just start to kind of build up some deep pigment. It is a really, really dark and pretty shade, and it's definitely adding a little more depth to this look. Just kind of building up that pigment all the way across my lower lash line. And then I do want to continue to deepen that up. I'm going to go back into that gray shade that we used earlier, that Puccini. And I'm going to just pick some of this up on that same brush and just kind of layer it on top of that other shade and just kind of begin to continue to build up that pigment. And we can definitely start to see a lot more depth and a little bit more of that gray look. And now I just want to deep up just this outer corner of the lower lash line just a little bit. So I'm going to go into this really deep shade down here. This one is called Paris. And just going to go ahead and add just a little bit of this deep purple to this look. Not a lot, just a very little amount. And then just going about maybe halfway across the lower lash line and just building up those gray shades. And just kind of using back and forth motions just to blend it in so I don't have any harsh lines here. That is really, really pretty. And definitely those grays and purples really blend together very nicely. Like I said, there's a little hint of purple in the grays, so it really helps to complement the purple very well. This is very pretty. It's turning out really beautifully. I do want to go ahead and add a little bit of an inner corner highlight. So I think I'm going to go in with this shade right here. This one is called Romantique. And I'm going to go ahead and use that as an inner corner highlight. When I swatched this one, it had a little bit of sort of a brown undertone to it, and then it has sort of some purple sparkles. So I think that's going to look really pretty. And I'm going to grab a setting spray and just going to go ahead and give this just a quick spritz, just so it'll have just a little bit of tackiness to the shimmer shade. And then just going to go ahead and pop this right here on the inner corner. And I'm going to pull this down just a little bit into my lower lash line as well, and just kind of blend it into those gray shades. That is really pretty. I absolutely love pink and purple together. It is so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and step off camera. I'm going to do my other eye, add some of our finishing touches, and then I'll be back in just a moment and we'll take a look at the final look, and I'll share some of my thoughts about the palette with you. And here's the final look. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I think it is so light and beautiful. For my finishing touches, I did decide to go in with a little wing just to kind of add just a little bit of just an elegance and just a light, pretty look to this. So I went in with my Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Waterproof Eyeliner in Ultra Black. And then I did tightline on the top as well with my automatic eyeliner from Ulta Beauty. This is in the shade Matte Black. And then I wanted to kind of pull some of this pink from the top into my lower waterline. So I went in with another Ulta Beauty automatic eyeliner, and this is in the shade Matte Powder Pink. And for my lashes, I went in with my Tarte Maneater Waterproof Mascara. So I'm so happy with how this looks. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the final look, and then I'll share my thoughts. I really enjoyed using the Paris La Bohème palette from Nomad Cosmetics. I think this is such a beautiful palette. The design on it is absolutely stunning. I love just kind of the glow and the shimmer that is on the front of this palette. You can see on this little ghost lady here and on the glass of wine, it just kind of catches and reflects on the light. I even love just these little kind of gold corner embellishments. They are so pretty. It is absolutely stunning. The design on this is so well thought out and creative, and I definitely think that matches the palette itself. It is such a creative and beautiful color story. I think all of the shades in here are really lovely. I love that it's kind of split up into sort of these light kind of fairy tale almost kind of pinks over here, just very light and typical romantic Paris. And then this side over here is more of that kind of artistic, kind of grungy side. It's more of the city of Paris. So I really love that there's kind of a split in the color story, but then everything also kind of goes together really nicely, and you can definitely create some kind of ombre look and really get a lot of depth and kind of have some fun being creative with this palette. I think all of the shade names are really nice. Of course, I may have mispronounced a couple of them during the tutorial today, and I apologize if I did. But they are really beautiful names. I love the packaging on here, and then these shimmers are absolutely stunning. They are definitely the stars of the show. The mattes are really nice, especially the pinks. Of course, I would have preferred a little more depth in the pinks. These are all very light matte, and so the shimmers really had to kind of stand out and kind of shine in this look just because the mattes didn't have a lot of depth to them, and I wasn't able to create a really deep look with the mattes that I used on this side of the palette. I do feel like on the other side the mattes are a little bit deeper and darker, and you could make some more kind of smoky looks with it, but I definitely kind of wish there was more on this side as well, with more of those pinks. So you could create a very monochromatic look and you could create a very pink look, but that it would have more depth to it. But I still am really happy with this look that I made today. I think it's just very nice, very light and feminine. It's very pretty, and like I said, very classically just romantic Paris, and I think that's really nice to be able to capture that with this palette, and I think that's really pretty. So I definitely really like this palette. I will say in terms of packaging, it does feel very large. I do think this is a similar size to a lot of Nomad's palette, so this is just a typical format for them, but it is a little difficult kind of to hold and to kind of move around with, just because it is kind of large. But I do love that it is an 18 pan palette and that you do have a lot of variety in here. So it's very pretty. I'm definitely looking forward to making some looks with this side of the palette. Like I mentioned earlier, as I was taking the swatches, I was pleasantly surprised by the greens and the blues. As I was looking at this palette, of course, I was more drawn to this side, and that's why that's the look that I made today, just those light girly pink kind of colors. And I wasn't necessarily thinking I would love this side as much, but as I took the swatches, I absolutely loved all of these shades over here. This blue shimmer shade, as I mentioned earlier, is so pretty when you swatch it. It is so light and iridescent. It just has such a nice glow. I would love to just throw that all over the lid and create a look, and then I could even create more depth in the outer corner with some of these darker mattes. I will say this Poverty shade was a little bit shocking when I swatched it. In person, it almost looks kind of lime green. It looks more true to the swatch on the camera actually, but in person it looked kind of lime green, and so when I swatched it and it came out a little bit more gold and a little bit more of a grungy green, that was a little bit shocking. That shimmer reminded me of Cosmic Beauty, their Undergrowth palette. A lot of the shimmers in there, how they kind of have the kind of firefly type shade that's sort of got a nice kind of light yellow in the green to kind of give it a little bit of sort of like a candlelight glow. So I thought that one was really pretty, and definitely I thought all of the greens and the blues went together very nicely. So this is a gorgeous palette. The packaging is absolutely stunning. The theming is perfect. Again, I really enjoyed our trip to Paris when my family went when I was younger. So getting to see that in a palette and getting to see just the creativity and the artistic nature of just the Paris or the Parisian culture is just so cool, and it's so beautiful. So I really enjoyed getting to use this palette, and I hope that you enjoyed this as well, and that I definitely am looking forward to creating more looks with this. I hope you enjoyed seeing the swatches in this tutorial using the Paris La Bohème palette from Nomad Cosmetics. I really enjoyed creating this look, and I hope that you liked it too. And if you did, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, and if you're planning to pick up this palette as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more makeup swatches, tutorials, content, all of that good stuff, then I'd love for you to stick around and please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, let's be kind to each other, beautiful to ourselves, and never afraid to make up the rules.